Hey YouTubers, and welcome to 2017. Now 2016 was kind of a shit year for a lot of people, but at least it gave us some really awesome films, and 2017 is not going to be any different. So in this video, we're going to be talking about 10 of our most anticipated films for 2017. Hope you enjoy it. Joining me today is once again MJ from GeekListTV. MJ, what's up, man? Can you say hi to everyone?
Hi.
Yes. Yes, hi. Hi, everybody.
I'm just kidding, guys. I'm ready to do this video. I'm always happy to collab with Real to Real. It's always an honor. He's an amazing YouTuber. Let's do this, man. Let's do it.
I love the energy. But guys, we're going to be talking about 10 of our most anticipated films for 2017. Now, I have 5. I've asked MJ here to have 5 as well, and we're going to be basically talking about our excitement for our own individual films and discussing it amongst ourselves. So I'm just going to get us started here, and I'm cheating. Honestly, guys, I'm going to cheat a little bit for my number one pick here. Obviously, no real order, but going into just basically where we are in the year, I cannot wait to see Underworld Blood Wars and Resident Evil the Final Chapter, and I do lump those into the same category because for a lot of people they are basically the same movie. But at this point, both of these franchises have been around for about 15 years now. Isn't that crazy? I was just thinking about it the other day that, man, like I was 11 or 10 years old when these movies started coming out, and now like I'm almost 30 and these movies are still coming out. And I do love them. I keep watching them, so it's like they're doing something right. They must be doing something right. But honestly, I've been watching them, very loyal fan. I know they're kind of crap movies for the most part, but guys, they're so much fun to watch. And with this new kind of, I guess, look into feminism in movies and everything, thinking about how long that these movies have actually been playing and the strong female roles that they've kind of shifted and created over the last decade and a half is something to kind of sit around and think about. So MJ, are you looking forward to these movies? Do you watch them at all or anything like that? What do you want to say about them?
I've seen Resident Evil, most of the films. Underworld, I've seen, I believe, the first. I want to say that I saw 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. 2's kind of drawing a blank, but from what I remember from the first one, I feel like it was a better film than most of the Resident Evil ones. As far, maybe not the first Resident Evil, but it was a pretty good film. I thought it was an alright film from what I saw. I did kind of like the whole wolf-like type thing against the whole. I kind of like that concept, so it kind of put it over most of the other Resident Evil films. Resident Evil at this point, bro, I think it's trash. They're kind of just popcorn movies. So, they are,
but
just, like, they're fun to watch. So I mean, because they're not too heavily long. I mean, it's fun. You can just take a date with you to go check them out. You know what I mean? So they're fun in that aspect. But I mean, am I looking forward to it? Not really. Underworld, I might check that one out though. Who knows? Maybe me and you go watch it together, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, totally. If I have time, I'll make it up there. Yeah. Anyway, man, like, yeah, I can't wait for them. Total guilty pleasure of mine. Honestly, I absolutely love them. But what about your first one here?
My first one is Logan. Yes, I know you mentioned off air that the whole Wolverine character is a bit played out, and I do sort of agree with you. But if there's a way for this character to go, and if this is truly his last film, I'm ready for it, man. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on this as far as what it's gonna do. I'm talking globally, because when you look at the budget, 127 million. You look at the trailers. I like the trailers. It had like this Last of Us aspect. I know that's kind of like a generic point of view. Most of the people brought this up already when the trailers came out. But again, to me, it just had that Last of Us aspect, and I love that game. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. I'm looking forward to Jackman's new take on an old Wolverine. You know what I mean? Because we do agree that the character's been played out, but to see it from this point of view and this kind of this apocalyptic world, and this is going to be the last time that we see Patrick Stewart, I believe, and Hugh Jackman kind of be in these two roles and to be on the big screen. So I'm looking forward for it. My body's ready for it, so I'm pretty sure it's going to do very well. I'm pretty sure it's going to shock a lot of people. What about you? You looking forward to it?
You know what? I can't say that I am not looking forward to it. I don't think. I guess I'm one of those people sleeping on it, like you said. I don't necessarily think that I am overly excited to see it. It's no Deadpool to me. Deadpool was something that was kind of dragging its knuckles for the better part of a decade, for the long time to get made, and it was just something like this internet fan culture thing. There's like, this isn't ever going to get made. This is never going to get made, and it finally happened. And you know, whatever your thoughts on that movie, it was something that was worthwhile to see just as a fan. And but like I said, for the most part, the X-Men movies outside of the Deadpool film, they've just shoehorned him in every single thing, made him a very vital role, if not just a, you know, the smallest role he's had thus far is First Class, which in my opinion is the best one because it actually got away and decided to tell a different story for once. I am still on the fence. Definitely the first trailer helped win me over if this is his swan song like he's been talking about, although fingers crossed for a Deadpool Wolverine movie at this point. But if it's his swan song, then I'm really looking forward to something really special. And
if you drag me to go watch Underworld, I'm going to drag you to go watch this, okay?
Exactly. So, like, no, like, you won't get me dragging, like, I'm not going to be kicking and screaming. I'm going to be there, like, first day, front row, probably because it's going to be sold out. No one likes the front row.
I think the selling point for this, Mark, is Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman. Sorry to cut you off. I think that really is a selling point for me because, like, even though I agree with you on the fact that his character's been played out and they kind of, like, inserted him and gave him all these big roles in every single X-Men film aside from one, it just seems like they do have good chemistry. That's something that I like, and there's something about that I just love to see. It's like with characters who have this good chemistry, so to see them and kind of like in their last hoorah, I think that's going to be something I want to go see, you know?
Yeah, and like I completely agree. I understand, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see this do Deadpool numbers. I wouldn't be. I'm still kind of. You're talking about critical and box office success. I am willing to believe critical success right now, but box office success, we're just going to have to wait and see. We're just going to have to wait and see, in my opinion. But definitely, they tend to go hand in hand. So yeah.
Yeah. What's your number 2?
Yeah. This is something that you and I have talked about a little bit in the past. I am really intrigued to see Power Rangers, and I know a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping in on this one too. Obviously, Lionsgate is kind of, you know, they've been kind of writing the whole dystopian young adult novel thing with Twilight and Hunger Games, and now their Divergent series is crashing and burning, and they don't necessarily know where to go from here. And one of the things they decided to do a couple years back was, let's buy the rights to Power Rangers and kind of reboot that into an action superhero based film, to the point where they're talking about making, you know, 6 or 7 films. That's a little crazy for me, but at the same time, I know a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads at the trailer, but look at the star power behind this. Not only are the actors who are playing them, their names escape me, I didn't necessarily look them up before this video, but not only are the actors playing the kids who are actually the Rangers, but you got Bryan Cranston's in there, Elizabeth Banks in there, is Rita Repulsa. Like, those, I grew up with the Power Rangers. I am not going to sleep on a mega budget blockbuster Power Rangers movie. It's going to be really cool, especially with some of the rumors that we've been hearing in terms of like who Rita might be and how like she might be tied into all this, and how, like, the setup for the sequel and all this stuff. I'm really interested. I really hope they kind of express the lore and give us something interesting to watch, and not just like a burning trash fire at this point. So what are your thoughts on it? Are you excited for that one?
I wouldn't say I'm excited for it, but we did talk about it off air. I probably am going to go see it, and I do think people are sleeping on it. Obviously, like you mentioned, we have Elizabeth Banks, you know, we have Naomi Scott, we have Bryan Cranston. Now, Bryan Cranston, I'm a Bryan Cranston fanboy. You know, you have Malcolm in the Middle, you have his X-Files episode, you have his Seinfeld episode where he's the dentist. Guys, if you're a fan of comedy and a fan of Seinfeld, I believe it's on YouTube, go check it out.
It's on
Hulu. I believe it also, Seinfeld still airs on TV. But anyways,
really?
Okay. Man, that's just been airing on TV since I was a kid. But anyways, reruns. But anyways, you have Bryan Cranston and this role as a dentist. Hilarious episode. Hilarious. But then, you know, Malcolm in the Middle, Breaking Bad, obviously. So I'm a huge fan of his, and to see him play Zordon, I'm looking forward to that. Also, I know I'm in the minority here, but I think the suits look kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not too sure with the whole, some of the other stuff we see, some of the other images I'm a little iffy on, but the suits look cool, so I'm looking forward to just overall watching this. And hey, if it's not a crazy movie as far as like story goes, I can tell just from the trailer the effects look pretty cool. I feel like I'm gonna have a fun time to watch this movie. Just sit down and watch it, you know. So that's what I have to say about that. I mean, it's Lionsgate. I believe the director is, forget his name. It starts with it's Dean something, but haven't heard of him. But so we'll have to wait to see how this turns out. But it does seem like it'll be a good popcorn movie at least, because the trailer looks alright. Like some trailers get released and you can tell like they're very unfinished. I'm sure it's unfinished as well, but it actually looked pretty polished from what I saw. So I'm looking forward to it. So
no, yeah, I completely agree. Anyway, you're
excited
next one.
though. No. Looking forward to it, but not excited. But the next one is Thor Ragnarok. Now, I know people, when you talk about Marvel, and I'm sure you can agree with this, when you talk about Marvel, most people are not a fan of the whole Thor series, you know? Obviously, you have like the whole Iron Man series, you have the Captain America series. Thor, like, I'm actually looking forward to this. Like, I'm looking forward to see what Tom Hiddleston does. I've kind of grown to like Chris Hemsworth's Thor. Like, kind of like around Age of Ultron, I kind of just started to like, oh, okay, you know. So that's grown on me. You know, we have the Hulk, you know, by Mark Ruffalo's gonna be in there. So I'm looking forward to this, and it might not do as well, because like I said, I feel like the series has kind of already been tainted. It's just like if people are gonna go watch it, they're just gonna go watch it, that way they stay in the loop. I don't think anyone really cares to like really go out there and watch it. It's like when Captain America comes out, or like when Iron Man, or when an Avengers movie comes out, like, you know, you and your buddies are gonna go rush to the theaters. You know, I'm pretty sure if I call you, you'll just be like, oh, I'll read it on Wiki or something. I'll read the plot. But I'm just kidding. No, it's not that bad. Like, I don't see the Thor series being that bad. But as far as this one goes, I feel like enough people have grown to enjoy Chris as Thor. Again, the Hulk's gonna be in it. Tom Hiddleston's character, people love him. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I really am.
Oh yeah, you also got Benedict Cumberbatch going to be joining as Doctor Strange to some capacity that they've just confirmed. And I mean, obviously, I don't know why they needed to confirm it when they had that blatant teaser at the end of his film. But you know, at the same time, this is the one thing I actually kind of disagree with you on. It's not that I'm not excited. I mean, obviously at this point, you need to start, like a lot of people say, you need to start like grading Marvel on a curve, and like not even kind of talking about your excitement for them, because obviously you're going to see them and obviously you're excited for them. The whole concept of a extended universe is something to absolutely get excited about. But at the same time, I agree with you. The whole Thor franchise, I feel like, is their lowest point, and obviously they're trying to really pump it up this time by adding in a couple of other people that don't work well as their own movies, or while they still do, can work to expand the mythos of Thor. Like, you know, Doctor Strange can absolutely do that.
And then again, the Hulk as well, because a lot of people like the relationship that was sort of built in the first Avengers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, personally, I feel like I really want to see that, but anything else, I'm not necessarily interested in seeing for the most part. You know? Yeah. So I get you. That's my thing. I will go see it. Like I said, probably
I'll drag you to go see it.
Probably, like I said, like, yeah, first week, second week, I'll go see it in theaters. I'll be happy to go see it. I want to keep.
I like how you're just like first, no, wait, second, maybe the third week.
I want to, like you said, I want to keep up with where the story is more than I'm excited.
But you're not going to be first, right?
No, I'm not going to be first in line for that. No.
Okay.
But okay, moving on. This is actually, I think, something that wouldn't pop up in a lot of people's lists. And one thing I like about our lists here is, before we go on, is that they're not necessarily, while they have some, you know, guaranteed top 10 qualifiers, this one to me is one of the ones that wouldn't be. I'm really excited to see The Mummy, Universal's The Mummy reboot. And this isn't because I have some undying love for either, you know, Universal's classic monster movie, mummy movies, or even the, in my opinion, the horrendous trilogy with Brendan Fraser in the early 2000s and late 90s. Personally,
don't hate on Brendan, man.
It's like, it's not that I don't like those movies. I don't necessarily, I never really enjoyed them. And but I feel like this is something a little different, and it's good to jump off of this from Thor, because personally I'm really excited to see what Universal's going to do with their quote-unquote movie universe. I mean, you watch that trailer and it doesn't give you a whole lot of context, but you watch that trailer and we have a female mummy, which is interesting, even though they said that they're going to replace that. They replaced it with a female because it was too close to Apocalypse from X-Men Apocalypse. But also you have Tom Cruise, who they're saying or rumored could probably be playing Van Helsing. You have Robin, what's his name? Oh man, like, why am I blanking on Russell Crowe? You have Russell Crowe playing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in the universe, and then you have Johnny Depp, I'm pretty sure, is playing the Invisible Man, and all this stuff in all the future movies if this one does any well. And I feel like, you know, we've already had Marvel basically blowing up the cinemas with its concept of a, you know, cinematic universe, and then the first one to actually really try to follow them has been DC, and that's just been a garbage fire this entire time, like a slow moving train wreck for the most part. And I feel like we need a cool, kind of unpredictable and interesting cinematic universe to compete with Marvel. And will this be it? I'm not necessarily sure, but I am excited to see where they take it.
It has potential to be, you know what I mean? Because Universal monster, like, that is just, it's iconic, you know? Like, my dad knows them, you know? Like, my grandfather knows them, you know? Like, my sister, like, they're just like an iconic bunch of characters. So I think it really can compete with Marvel if it has. But I mean, obviously, the Mummy, you have Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe, so I mean, like, I'm not too excited to go see it, but I'm interested. I wouldn't mind checking it out, you know?
Yeah, they have to. The problem is, the big problem that everyone has is the same problem that DC has. Is they're going to try too hard to catch up when they should really just take it slow. And they should really just take it slow. But
when you make it a race, I know it's all about competition. Competition equals cash, but at the same time, when you try to make it a race and do that, it can sort of crash and burn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the you have to just live with the fact that you started a decade too late.
Yeah. But
it's still something that's popular, so just roll with it. You know, like,
yeah, that's true.
Try to build something interesting that we don't know of. Like, I just want to reemphasize this before we move on from The Mummy, is this Universal monster thing is going to be action-packed. They say it's also going to be scary. I highly doubt it. But my tolerance for scary is different from a lot of people's. But for me, it's something that we really have to, it brings a whole new level of speculation, because the comic books are something where we take pre-existing material that's been around for decades on end, and they kind of shovel it all together and feed it to us in a cinematic format where, yes, they changed this, that, and the other, but we can predict it from years off just based off of titles. I mean, Marvel isn't releasing titles for Phase 4 because they said it's going to ruin Infinity War Part 2, just by giving those titles. So you don't run into the same situation with this. This is basically just new original stories with timeless characters, and I think that is, to me, is interesting. So I'm interested. Anyway, what's your next one?
John Wick Chapter 2. So I enjoyed the first one, but I didn't freaking love it like how most people talk about it. But it was one of those movies where, you know, I think people heard about it, they wanted to go check it out, and then they walked out like, oh, that was an actual good movie, that was worth the money, that was good, and I may go see that again. You know, like that. I think that's what happened with John Wick. And then, you know, by word of mouth, I can't remember for the love of me how much the first one made, but I remember just by word of mouth, like people just heard about it and they went to go check it out. I remember like all the reviews started coming out, you know, like Stuckman, and you have Collider, or it might have been AMC back then, but you have all these people doing their reviews, and people were giving it the thumbs up, you know, and then everyone's like, Keanu's back, you know, so. Like I've seen people actually compare this as to like an Expendables film series or like a Die Hard film series, like as far as action series goes. I'm not too sure. I mean, this is just the second one. I'm not too sure if I would go that far yet. We'll have to see how the second one looks and does. But I mean, you got Lawrence Fishburne, you got Ian McShane, Keanu Reeves. I mean, I'm down for that. Morpheus and Neo reunion, you know? I'm down for that. So, plus, I like the whole description of it. It's not so much of a like Bulgarian / Russian, how most action movies are nowadays, where they seem like they have to throw like an international villain in there. This is pretty much just him kind of going against his own assassins, you know. Like I think that would be a cool way to do it. You know, we're gonna get a lot of action, presumably way more than the first one. So I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
It looks like far bigger. It looks far bigger from the first one. The first one was stylistic and almost heartfelt. You know, you don't kill the dog and expect. Something that's not going to be kind of a tearjerker, but when you combine something that is, you know, quite essentially a tearjerker and then make it a balls out action film for the rest of the film, that was something interesting. You know, it hit on a whole lot of levels, and stylistically too, just visually it's so appealing to watch. And it was, like you said, I walked in there going, I know they're going to kill a dog, I know it's going to be a beagle, I have a love for beagles in terms of a favorite dog breed, but I wanted them to be like, oh man, like this movie was far better than I thought it was. And, you know, the one thing I would actually kind of compare it to is it reminded me a whole lot of the first Taken film, where interesting premise, interesting concept, and you walked out going, man, that was enthralling. And the reason I'm a little bit concerned about John Wick Chapter 2 is that you walk out of Taken 2 and go, that was really boring with some really cool concepts.
Do you think people might be walking in with too high of expectations in the second one?
It's a possibility, but like you said, the one thing I like that they're doing outside is they're expanding the universe. They're expanding the universe in a new story and not trying to tie it to what happened in the first film. Although I'm not necessarily sure one way or the other. I have kind of been keeping the lowest amount of information I can from this movie just to walk in as surprised as I was with the first one. So I could be completely wrong. So,
all right. What's your next one?
My next one is something that my last two actually for this video are two. I have to admit, I have my two favorite franchises of all time coming back in the same year. So, first one, a lot of people won't understand this, but I got Saw Legacy. Saw 8 is coming back for an 8th serving of blood and torture and guts and just all my awesome weird twisted psychology philosophy that we get from the entire movies. And I know you talked about this with me a while ago, you don't necessarily like these movies, you don't necessarily watch them, but let me just run it down. This movie, you know, we talked a lot about in-world continuity and multi-movie continuity with Marvel and DC and now the Universal Monster one and everything. To me, Saul did it first. And what I mean by that is you have like a lot of movies that played out between like, you know, course of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 films over the last couple decades, you know, that's 100 years of movie or filmmaking. But never before 2004 through 2010 did we have something like Saw, where every single year you're hitting this same story that constantly elaborates and redefines itself in such an intriguing way, while making ridiculous retcons but staying almost as consistent as possible with trying to explain itself and its whole universe and philosophy and everything else. Now that's why I really like to see Saw 7 or Saw 8. Saw 7 was garbage. And but this one, if rumors are to be believed, they're actually continuing with the story. So they've taken about a 7-year break at this point. It's going to be super interesting for me to see how they decide to take that pre-existing story, as convoluted as it was, and not only continue tell that story, but also make it fresh for new audiences. It's going to be such a major challenge that it has to be, and it is legitimately a very interesting concept to me.
I have nothing to say against this. I've only seen the first one, and that was a long ass time ago, like years ago, dude. So yeah,
no, like
sorry about this.
Yeah, no worries, man. Like that's all I really wanted to say. Like that. It's going to be interesting. If anything else, it's going to be bloody. It's going to be interesting for any fan. Most fans who really like the show or the movies like it for the story and not the blood and guts. So I think it's something that we're all very excited about, especially like I said after how bad the 7th film was. But anyway, we'll move on.
Take your word for that.
Anyway, yours?
Mine is World War Z 2. I don't know why I said it like that. But
that was dramatic.
It was dramatic. This is a dramatic film. We have David Fincher coming back. Oh wait, did he direct the first one?
No, he didn't. And
he didn't. Okay.
In fact, him coming in to direct this film is awesome. Makes it huge. Makes it so much more interesting. So I'm sorry.
Okay.
I digress.
But we have Brad Pitt obviously back in it, and the first one, dude, this is one of those films again where I'm gonna compare it to John Wick, and just kind of like one of those films like Taken. Like I wasn't expecting much from it, you know. Like I just thought it was like another zombie movie. I thought the trailer was kind of cool for it, but then when I actually went in and saw it, I liked it a lot. You know what I mean? Like I liked a lot of the cinematography in it. I liked a lot of obviously I liked the way the zombies kind of like. You know what? I'll make the comparison. I kind of liked how it was a mix between I Am Legend's monsters with like the Resident Evil zombies. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I liked the way they ran. I liked how they were very like monstrous. You know what I mean? Like when you look at the Walking Dead zombies, it's almost like it's gone to the point to where can you really even say like are people really even scared of them in the Walking Dead universe? It's like they walk so slow and then you go kill them and that's it. You know what I mean? And they practically look like skeletons now because it's been so long. You know, it's like whereas with World War Z, like you saw the expressions and these zombies, they look monsters. Like they look like they were from like out of this world. So I like the way that was handled. So I really am looking for part 2 and to see where it kind of goes off from part 1. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with you that this movie kind of blew me away in ways I wasn't necessarily expecting. It was something that I expected it to be one way and it ended up being completely different. And I think a lot of that goes to the last minute reshoots they did where at the beginning, or you know, where he ends up at the WHO office when he has to go get he gets the cure and all that stuff. It was like basically from the very beginning of that movie, it was just nonstop go until that point where you expect the climax of the film, because there's still like 35 minutes left in that film at that point. It is a long time, and you're expecting it to just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you just see this plane crash, and then it just slows down really slow in comparison, and it worked, by God, like it really worked in terms of like, okay, like I have time to breathe now. We're seeing with these characters is a very dangerous situation, but definitely slower than what we've been seeing. And it feels more personal with all this other stuff going on in the background.
I get what you mean. It was like constant movement for like a good portion of the movie, but then it kind of transitions pretty well. And that's some movies that they can't do that. Like some movies where they do that transition, you're just kind of like, Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, why did they do that? Like they could just took the air out of the movie, which in this case that didn't happen. You know, so yeah, I agree with you on that.
And to me, it feels like if rumors are to be believed, and it actually ends up occurring, just the fact that David Fincher is directing a movie like this, especially after his kind of, not that he's never directed big movies, but after how he directed Alien 3 with Fox and how he kind of disown that film because it was kind of a pre-existing brand established. He hasn't necessarily created the world for himself and everything like that. It's just, he is such a talented director. In my opinion, he's probably the best living director today, like just in terms of his creative craft and all of the way his films come together and everything. I respect every single
Fight
one
Club,
of them.
Gone Girl, you know, a different love for each of them.
Yeah, like it's he creates something very unique and intriguing, and taking that type of creative potential into a sequel to a film that was better than expected gives me a whole lot of hope. I mean, if he's going to sign up for this film, if those rumors are to be believed, there's something special in the store for us. And maybe this is something like this, like you were saying, it's going to just kind of sneak up on us, and you know, people aren't necessarily going to be expecting, oh, that first one, it came out too long ago and everything. But then when it hits, if the zombies are still as popular as they are today, maybe it's actually running its course. You know, it's been almost a decade at this point.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
But if it comes out like that, it's going to be intriguing, interesting, and it's just going to blow us out of the water if it lives up to its own potential. So yeah,
I'm pretty sure the people listening can tell we're both hyped for it. It's kind of funny because I don't think people would expect this type of movie to be on the list, especially when you have a lot of other films, you know, coming out. So
exactly. It's what we've been talking about. Like that's one of the things I like about our lists is we're not talking about the most obvious films. And I'll just close out this with my last pick. And this is really tentative at this point. There's no real indication of whether or not this is going to happen.
OMG, Mark, just get to it. What is it?
Okay, whatever. No, guys, my favorite franchise of all time is Rocky. I love the Rocky films. I absolutely adore them. You know, even the bad ones, even Rocky 5, or there's a lot of people who hate Rocky 4 or Rocky 3 for one reason or another, or Rocky 2, or even the first Rocky, Rocky Balboa. Creed was an amazing film, and now we have a tentative schedule for Creed 2 in 2017, the very tail end in November. And I have to say, I am really looking forward to this movie. The Creed, while I was already excited for it, when it came out, just because of my love for the franchise, it blew me away. It was beautifully shot. It told a very legitimate, heartfelt story. It became a swan song and very, very daring approach for Sylvester Stallone and Michael B. Jordan, and going forward. And I can't wait to see how they kind of take it, because like the original Rocky, even though the first Rocky had a legitimate sequel idea, the concept of doing that seemed almost ridiculous when you take the first film into account. They're saying, you know, there's not going to be a rematch. There's not going to be a rematch. We told the story we were wanting to tell, and we kind of went with it. And then you know, 30 years later, 30, 40 years later, you have essentially 6 other films in your franchise, and you somehow keep making stories out of something that shouldn't necessarily keep getting stories. But at the same time, the reason we need this, and the reason there's so many of them, in my opinion, is they're so inspirational and they're so heartfelt for the most part, that we need those movies in our lives. It can't all just be, you know, CGI, action-packed, all this other stuff. We need this, get up off your ass, you can do it, you are just like everyone else. And you know, if you just need a realistic goal that you can reach, and if you can reach that, then you've lived up to your potential and all that. And it's heartwarming, and if we can get that like every couple of years like we have been, it'd be great.
Do you want me to give my thoughts on it?
No, yeah, please. I'm sorry, I went on a little rant because like I said, my favorite. So,
yo, Tommy, I didn't hear no bell. I don't know if the Rocky 5, people may not like it, but that's some damn good quotes in that shit.
Yeah,
you could call a lot of those scenes. But anyways, that just tells you how good that series is. That even one of the most crappiest movies, I mean, you can still find some salvageable goodness in it, you know. But yeah, I agree with you. I do love Rocky. Creed. Me and my dad, when we watched that together, man, dude, we came out and we were just so happy. Like, that was such a good film, you know. Mm-hmm. Like, it kind of like, can I say this? Is it a bit weird? But maybe a bit of closure. I don't know. Like I kind of got some of that. Like I felt like when Rocky 4 happened and I watched that, like there, like something about the whole Creed stuff. Like I kind of feel like there could have been more expanded with it. And then with Creed, we got this, and I know people were worried about it, but it was actually beautifully done. You know, I liked the way Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester worked together. I liked a lot of the scenes that were there. I liked the cinematography, and I liked when he was like running down Philly. You know, you have all that cool scenes. I just loved a lot of what was in it, and I really am looking forward to see what's going to happen with it. And me and my dad together, we're going to go. That's like a series that me and my dad can watch because he grew up, you know, with Rocky as well. You know, my dad being born in the 60s, so he watched Rocky 1 when he was growing up, you know, so stuff like that. So that's one of those films that me and him can watch together. And I kind of say it probably does have like a little, like a good like place in my heart because of that, you know, because me and my dad don't do a lot of stuff. So to go see a movie with him, and it's a movie that me and him can both like and will enjoy, I'm looking forward to it. You know, I really am. So,
No, yeah, I completely agree. Anyway, your very last one for this video.
Man, I don't think I can match you, dude. You cut a promo and a rant on us, but okay. Let me give you the last one, guys. I hope this ain't a disappointment for you. They're probably expecting like Star Wars or some shit like that, but I'll give you guys 2017's remake of It. Now, I am looking forward to this because my uncle owns It, the original on DVD, and man, dude, I just love that film. I love John Ritter in it. I love a lot of the aspects and I like the whole kid stuff. I love that film so much. It is a cult classic. It is iconic, and a lot of people are kind of a bit upset with how Pennywise looks. I've seen people kind of like really. Like, I've seen people on Instagram, on social media, like, sharing images and saying, like, ew, or what the fuck is this, you know, stuff like that. But, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Like, I really am. I want to see what comes from this, you know what I mean? Because it's Stephen King. It really is. So I kind of want to see the remake of this, and I kind of want to see it do well. And you can bet your ass I'll probably be one of the first in line, you know? I really will be. I really am looking forward to it that much. Pennywise is probably one of my more favorite characters, or the clown in a sense. And I got a feeling this will do well. You remember that clown epidemic, bro? I feel like maybe that will have some influence on. I'm just kidding.
If they don't use that, because I'm pretty sure that's still going on. It's been going on for a long time, but it just it got kind of boiled over in 2016.
Yeah, it really blew up.
They have to use that to help them like viral market at this movie, don't they? Like, if they're smart.
Probably. I mean, it's Hollywood, they will. But the director, Andres Muschietti, I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table. And obviously, again, this is Stephen King's original working, so I mean, because when you look at a story, when you think about it, when you want to go watch a movie, you're thinking, what's the story going to be like? Well, I kind of already know what it is. It's just going to be a different take on the story that I've already seen, and I've read a bit of the book, you know, so I'm looking forward to that, you know, really am. What about you?
Like I was telling you before we started recording, when you were talking about this being one of your top 10, which I think is some really interesting choice. It's not something I would even ever think about putting on, although it was something that I guess is big enough to be on everyone's radar who's even remotely paying attention. Personally, the one thing I'm really hoping they do is follow more in line with what happens in the books, or even figuring out a way to tiptoe around some of the graphic, more dark scenes from the books. And it was weird. There was a trend going on a while back when they were trying to basically remake all the classic movies that were basically adaptations of this, that novel or something. And one of the problems was they were talking about how, the reason we're going to be rebooting this or remaking this is because we want to make it more in line with what the original content was. And the original adaptation kind of took away and actually kind of shied away from the darker things. It was one of the arguments they made with the remake of Carrie, which I was really excited for. But more or less, it was basically just a remake of what they already showed in the original movie, and also worse. So, I mean, there was issues, there were differences, but at the same time, it was not that big to make to remake the entire film. So, like I said, if I feel like they're going to remake this movie, I hope they have the balls to make it right, and that's a lot easier said than done when you're talking about a story like it and the content that it deals with. So
a lot of people are traumatized by the first one, but I don't think people realize just how much more is in the book as far as like what happens to these characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying there. I really hope they kind of bring that in and kind of like incorporate that. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting. It really will be interesting to see where this goes. But I am looking forward to it.
That's the thing. Like, you talk about things that can either make or break. I feel like if they treat it right, if they treat it well, then they should have something where you're like, okay, I understand this. I understand where they're going with this, and the graphicness of it, or just the sheer terror of it, is going to make it iconic in its own right, the same way that the original was. So
yeah, let's be honest. Like, all those people who are sharing like those images and who are complaining about it, you know, they're gonna go see it one way or the other.
Yeah, definitely. So, like that's how it works. So I really do hope. I really hope it's good. I have such a soft spot for horror films, especially for good Stephen King adaptations. So it's really up there. So anyway, guys, it's a long video, but I hope you did like these 10 videos. We're doing another video that's probably going to be up on MJ's channel around the same time here, so I'll link that in the description below and on the screen in front of you, and you can click on those to hear 10 more movies, and let's talk about 10 more movies we want to see in 2017, our thoughts on those, and anything going forward. But please make sure to go check out MJ. Please go make sure to check out MJ's video where we talk about that stuff. And please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe for more content like this, Dragon Ball, Walking Dead, and anything else I want to do going forward. So thanks for joining us, guys. Bye.